misdemeanor of injury to a real property. The suspect reportedly stole electronic devices and also damaged property inside. A judge has ordered a speedway to shut down. The hearing follows a temporary restraining order filed by the state to shut down a speedway temporarily. Now, a speedway's legal team argues the state is selectively enforcing policies and claims no proper legal notice of shutdown was given and that no confirmed coronavirus cases came from gatherings at the speedway. The Department of Health's legal team argued ACE continues advertising races later this month, even though it's a legal violation of their shutdown. The team also claims Burlington has one of the worst COVID-19 growth rates in the country, and by limiting the number of people at events is the best way to stop the spread. One fan says he thinks the governor is targeting a speedway.
I think it's unfair what the governor is trying to do to ACE Speedway now. Over the weekend, there were over 20 racetracks opened in North Carolina, all had fans, and none of them are being asked to be closed for this weekend.
Now, the Speedway did release a statement on Facebook earlier today, canceling today's open practice and upcoming race events. The Speedway telling fans to stick around for plans moving forward.
High school coaches are coming together. Forsyth County football coaches met with Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough this morning. They're talking about racism and ways that they can make the community better overall. WFMY News 2's Amanda Ferguson tells us about that meeting. Amanda.
Coaches tell me the purpose of this meeting is to bring unity to Forsyth County. Nobody told these coaches to sit down with the sheriff. They wanted to do this to make a difference and fight racism. 11 Forsyth County football coaches sat down with Sheriff Kimbrough this morning at Vintage Sofa Bar. I asked what the conversation was like. Coaches tell me the sheriff gave them advice to tell their players. One big topic today, what to do if you get pulled over and how to interact with a police officer. Now, even though these teams compete against each other on Friday nights in the fall, they want to educate their players about life and make sure everyone stays alive.
That's a big deal. And I think ultimately that's what we were trying to portray. And we're going to keep meeting because we want to basically let everybody know that that's the way we are. And we showed it. We showed today. If we ultimately didn't care about each other, didn't care about our communities, care about our schools, would we be here? You know, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't do it. So again, care is an action.
This is very important. I mean, we do coach, but we take an interest in all our players, and we want those guys to have a good life and grow up and be good citizens and husbands and fathers and all that stuff. So it goes beyond football. Of course, we want the best football players, but we also want good men as well.
Today was the second time these coaches have come together with the Sheriff's Department. Now, they say they want to make this a regular thing and do it monthly.
Well, Redskins head coach Ron Rivera says he supports his players that choose to protest during the national anthem. In a press conference yesterday, Rivera said that he did his own research. He reread the U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights amendments, and the president's oath of office. The head coach said he wanted to make sure that his team had an actual plan and prove commitment to change. Two players, defensive lineman Chase Young and quarterback Dwayne Haskins, attended protests in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. Rivera said he is proud of them for being part of the difference.
And now let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. North Carolina's General Assembly approved a waiver for teenage drivers getting their license. Road tests will no longer be required for teens getting level 2 limited provision licenses during this pandemic. The drivers must meet all other requirements, though, including passing a driver's ed class and 60 hours of supervised driving. Anyone who gets the waiver must pass a road test before their full level 3 provisional license. This waiver only applies to anyone 18 and under, and it will expire once the DMV starts road testing again. This bill now heads to the governor's desk for signature. And reports suggest when President Trump starts campaigning rallies again, North Carolina is one of the first states that he plans to visit. Washington Post sent out a tweet saying President Trump may visit North Carolina, Oklahoma, Florida, and Arizona. The president's campaign manager says he plans to start in-person campaign rallies within the next 2 weeks. And Amazon not letting police use facial recognition technology for at least a year. The company has not explained why, but civil rights groups and Amazon employees have pushed the stop of sales of technology over privacy concerns. Amazon says organizations like the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children can still use that technology. North Carolina's zoo officially reopens on Monday. The zoo will have new guidelines, though, to protect all staff and visitors. Customers will be required to purchase tickets ahead of time online before their visit. The zoo is also allowing up to 2,000 visitors at a time, and staff will be continuing to clean and disinfect bathrooms often. And if you're planning a visit, all you have to do is go to our website for more information about what you need to know before you take a trip there.
President Trump says he is not supportive of renaming Army bases that were named after Confederate leaders. Now, this comes one day after Army officials said they were actually open to the idea. President Trump says the administration will not consider the idea because names are a part of the country's heritage. The name changes, by the way, were proposed for up to 10 bases. That did include Fort Bragg in North Carolina.
Members of the Washington, D.C. community and the Smithsonian Network want to preserve artwork and fencing from George Floyd protests. Volunteers began removing everything as workers removed the protest fence from around the White House. Hundreds of signs and posters that hung on the fence are now across town, taped to walls of a construction site. That fence was put up 2 weeks ago when protests turned to riots overnight. And members of the Smithsonian Network say they still have no plans to collect work yet, but want to build connection with protesters first. And speaking of protests, Cape Fear health officials worry about the number of coronavirus cases along our North Carolina coast. Our CBS partners in Wilmington tell us what one public health official recommends for protesters.
So COVID-19 has not gone away as much as we would all really like it to.
Coronavirus cases in New Hanover County are continuing to rise as restrictions are lifted. Health officials say this was initially expected because of expanded testing, but now
I believe is attributable to the fact that we're just interacting more. People are not staying home the way that they were before, so it's expected, but it's definitely become much steeper and much faster than we would like to see in public health.
As George Floyd protests continue in the county, some wonder if the virus is spreading there. But as of right now, no cases are attributed to the protests.
But it's also important to understand there's some limitations to what we know. So we're only going to know what somebody is willing to share with us. So it depends upon people being open and honest so that we can take those next steps to protect public health.
Brown emphasizes the importance of being honest when being tested for COVID-19 so others may be notified if they have been exposed. For those attending protests, she says it's important to continue taking precautions.
People are yelling, they're causing those droplets to go out, so wearing that face covering is still highly recommended.
She also suggests bringing hand sanitizer to the protests and keeping in mind how you got there.
And it's harder for the virus to spread when we're outside as opposed to indoors. But did you go to that gathering by riding with 3 or 4 people in a vehicle together in a confined space for 15 minutes, and were you not wearing masks?
In Wilmington, Sydney Bouchel, WWAY News.
Doctors also suggest anyone feeling sick to stay at home and also avoid mass gatherings to avoid spreading the virus.
Well, we're looking at temperatures today pretty much in the 80s. We have 84 degrees in Winston-Salem, 86 in Greensboro. High Point, you're at 85, 86 in Walnut Cove. Some of you have seen some scattered showers, so that kept temperatures down. That's why Burlington and Lexington are around 77 and 76, respectively. Here's your forecast heading into the night tonight, 66 degrees. That's as cool as we'll get. Clouds gradually clear after the possibility of evening storms and showers that we're actually seeing now. Tomorrow, 84, mostly sunny, less humid because the cold front will have moved through and taken the rain and the mugginess with it. You can see the radar now. We do have some pop-up showers depending on where you are. Most of this now moving in northern Alamance County for some heavier showers with lightning strikes there, and that'll be moving on to the east toward Orange County and Durham County eventually as we see that kind of push through the region. Again, look for highs and sunshine with lower humidity as we head into your Friday and into Saturday as well. No warnings in the immediate area. The flood warnings are down east. We'll be right back. You know, if you're qualified to work in the healthcare field, but maybe you're struggling to find some work right now, we may have an answer. And the best news is you don't have to leave your house. It's a virtual job fair. UNCG is teaming up with guilfordworks.org. That's the virtual job fair they're going to do on June 23rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This event will offer lessons on how to interview successfully, so interviewing techniques, and will inform you too about some funding resources if you need some education or some extra training. To register for this, you just go to guilfordworks.org.
With millions of Americans out of work due to the coronavirus, it's really not an ideal time to enter the workforce, especially for those college students who just graduated and are looking to kickstart their careers. The workforce is competitive.
It's definitely something, that you can't prepare for, to say the least.
Add in a global pandemic, finding a job, let alone the right one, is tough. It's something Jordan Wilkerson is dealing with on a daily basis.
It's been difficult trying to actually get a hold of an actual employer due to the pandemic. A lot of people aren't really hiring right now.
Jordan graduated from UNC Greensboro in May with a business administration degree. He says he's been applying for jobs almost every day since December. He still hasn't landed a gig.
I get disappointed myself, when you get declined or you hear that people aren't hiring. So just like I said, we just got to keep pushing forward and hopefully, the best will come.
But Jordan isn't alone in this.
We certainly are doing a lot of coaching virtually, meeting with students online to offer one-on-one guidance.
As the Director of Career and Personal Development at UNCG, Nicole Hall and her team have been staying connected with recent grads. Her advice: network, own your virtual presence, and use resources from your school.
I think flexibility is key, not only being open across industries, but even potentially from a geographic perspective as well.
As Jordan waits for a call back, he's focusing on his clothing brand with his brother and getting a real estate license, staying busy and positive during this uncertain time.
Eventually a job will come up, so I just try to take that word and I put it in my heart and I run with it.
Gosh, Eric, I cannot even imagine. I remember when I had graduated from college and I was applying for jobs, and it was like the pressure was on from not just my family, but I put pressure on myself to land that first gig. And then add on a pandemic, it's got to be so hard.
It's hard. I mean, I can't even imagine, because you're right, there's a lot of pressure anyway to try to have that lined up when you graduate. Most people probably don't get one right out of the gate, that's for sure. But right now, it makes it extra hard. I've had 3 different people contact me. They were like a friend of mine's son or a friend of a friend kind of thing, who were recent college graduates trying to get anything in this industry. So it's tough right now.
Yeah, so our thoughts and prayers are with you guys out there trying to find something, and best of luck to Jordan on finding something that makes him happy in his career. We'll be back with more of 4 to 5 right after this break.
You know, taking your temperature is becoming standard procedures in a lot of workplace settings and really just about anywhere, but it's difficult to get that done quickly. And how accurate are those things? I spoke with John Longest. He is of the Greensboro based tech company. They're called Geekbox IT. They have a new invention that they say will revolutionize this process. Now, they were doing a demo today for Wesleyan Christian Academy. Emily Orman with Wesleyan was there. We got to talk with both of them about this new device.
John and Emily, thanks for being with us today. I really appreciate it. This is super, I love this high tech. I'm a big tech geek, so this is right down my alley. John, explain what your product does and how you think this is going to help folks in the future.
So we have a device that quickly scans body temperatures, average about 1 second, and it uses facial recognition technology to allow or deny access to a building, tying into existing access control. So in order to make it work, you would stand within 1 to 3 feet of the device. It has a 7-inch screen and it shows you a silhouette of where you need to place your face. It will then measure, using infrared technology, measure your forehead. It's accurate within a half a degree. It displays it on the screen itself once you have been scanned.
Emily, you guys are taking a look at the demo today. What do you hope to get from this and how would you utilize this?
Absolutely. Our early education center at Wesleyan is manually scanning or doing temperature checks every morning upon arrival. So right now we're just using a manual infrared scanner, which is fine, but we are looking at something that's a little more efficient, especially for when we have more children on campus. So right now, just the time it's taking to do that and the manpower to manually log, we're excited about the product that John's showing us, that we can scan up to 30 children within a minute.
Well, I think this is great, and the coolest thing is that, John, you're local, Emily's local. This is all Triad good news. Thanks, guys, for being with us today.
So it's really interesting. And by the way, you know, accurate within a half a degree, they say. That's pretty good. It runs about $3,000 for that device, so it's not out of limits for a lot of businesses. If you need more information about this, we've linked you to their website through ours. Just go to this story on WFMYnews2.com. That could change a lot of things. It could be a game changer for like stadiums in the future, Stacey, and all kinds of venues.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that this pandemic has changed a lot of things, and I think people will have to be scanned in at a lot of different places. I already have to be my temperature checked at the hair salon. So I think this is really great. And I love that it was based here. It's in the Triad, which makes it even greater.
Yeah. Yep. Their offices are right in Revolution Mill. So they're doing great. Geekbox IT. Got to check them out.
All right. Thank you. And we'll be back with more of the 4 to 5 coming up right after this quick break. Stay with us. Many of us have strange food combos that just make others cringe. Our state magazine posted a recipe today that might have people divided. It was for this cheerwine barbecued chicken. The recipe marries the North Carolina staple soda with a picnic or family gathering style barbecue chicken. There aren't many regional drinks as revered as the Salisbury town favorite cheerwine. It was actually invented by a general store owner in Salisbury in 1917 and now is all over the state and ships to just about everywhere. If you'd like to try out this recipe, you can find it at ourstate.com.
So this got me thinking, Stacey, about some of those crazy food combos that I think all of us have. Some people don't want to admit it, but we have them. I have one too. So I asked you on Facebook, I wanted to know what kind of unusual food combos do you like that other people don't like? So we're going to come out of the gate with a good one. Boy, were people all over the place with this. Beverly Clifton Morrell says several years ago, I watched a friend add potato chips in her pimento cheese sandwich. Unbelievable, I thought. Then she tried it. Delicious. Mavis Anderson says tomato and peanut butter sandwich with jalapeno sliced cheese. Okay. Patty Page Duncan says mayonnaise and jelly sandwiches. I've heard it all. Shannon Atherton says I eat bananas and mayo sandwiches. That was the one that I had posted that my mother had when I was a kid, banana and mayonnaise sandwich. Brenda Cranfer says I like banana and Miracle Whip sandwiches. So there you go. Everybody has one. I want to know if you will admit what yours is, Stacey.
Okay, first, before I tell you, the tomato and peanut butter, I can't get over that.
Yeah, that doesn't appeal to me.
So
mayonnaise and jelly does not sound great to me.
I could see that more though than the peanut butter one.
Really?
I don't know. But people might think this is weird. So we always make these things called green bean bundles, and it's basically green beans wrapped in bacon, and you make it with things like garlic and then also add in some brown sugar. So some people may think it's weird, but I think it's delicious.
Oh my goodness. No, that sounds great. I don't know if this is weird or not, but I take like big oversized olives. So if I make a turkey or a ham sandwich, I cut the olives in half and I put them in the sandwich. I like that. Some people think that's weird too. All right, let's move on to our forecast. Now I'll get some emails. Yep, here we go. Here's what's happening with our satellite and radar combination. This is really all you need to know right now. Where's the rain? Where's it headed next? Will you see a thunderstorm? So we'll zoom in, probably the most active area right now. We do see some in southern Guilford County, eastern Forsyth, and northern Davidson. They're not holding together all that well, but still there are some lightning strikes in there. So just be advised that you could see that as this whole frontal system clears us. Look at the wide picture here, and you see this entire cold front pushing on to the east. Behind that is much drier air. It ends up actually being a pretty decent couple of days after we make it through today. Look at tomorrow, drier, sunshine. That means lower humidity, 84. Saturday, 83, still fairly dry. Rain chances come back in 50 to 60% for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and we get cooler Monday and Tuesday, upper 70s, building back to the low 80s. And by the time we get to Thursday, or Wednesday and Thursday rather, it's a 40 and 30% chance of showers.
Hello, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5 on this Thursday afternoon. I'm Stacey Spivey, joined with Eric Chilton. Eric, people continuing to still have the conversation about weird food combinations. We are still having it here in studio as well. So great conversation. You can keep weighing in on that or anything else that we continue to talk about here on our 4 to 5 show. So go ahead, comment below. We love to chat back with you. And now to one of your top headlines today. Coronavirus-related hospitalizations hitting a record for the 4th straight day. Cases jumped to a second highest daily increase. More than 1,300 coronavirus cases are currently in our state. The total number of cases is 39,000, including 24,000 recoveries. 11 people died since yesterday. 812 people are currently in the hospital. CVS is expanding its coronavirus testing locations here in North Carolina, adding 16 new sites with drive-through testing. Those new sites open tomorrow, including one new site in Winston-Salem. That brings the total number of testing locations to 71 across the state. If you need an appointment, you can just schedule yours online on cvs.com. It's free for anyone, even if you have insurance.
Well, in Guilford County, coronavirus testing continues to expand. United Healthcare's mobile testing site is making its way around the county. The next testing date is Saturday. This is at Evangel Fellowship Church on East Cone Boulevard. The testing is open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's for anybody that wants to get tested. You don't need an appointment. It is based on a first-come, first-served need.
Satellites are giving researchers new perspective on recent protests. The U.S. government also using images to battle the spread of the coronavirus. And senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge takes us inside the Pentagon agency behind the satellite intelligence.
From above, iconic landmarks before and after coronavirus hit provide a dramatic slideshow. Watch the crowds vanish from the Vatican St. Peter's Square to Tiananmen Square and Miami Beach.
It was like the world without humanity. In many cases, it was.
But NGA Deputy Director Stacy Dixon doesn't just look for what's missing. She's searching for what's been added. In Germany, the Oktoberfest venue became a COVID testing site. And last month, a satellite spotted these Chinese military planes on a base that used to be a reef in the South China Sea.
Despite the pandemic, countries are still doing things that our military, our policymakers need to understand. As the satellites fly overhead, you can see what the change is on that day.
The highest-ranking woman of color in the U.S. intelligence community, Dixon says these snapshots shared with the State Department, CDC, and Homeland Security provide extraordinary detail.
We can get a report either through a human source or a signal source, and then when a satellite passes over, you can actually confirm whether or not the activity actually took place.
Her agency relies on partners like Maxar Technologies for unclassified images.
The imagery itself can be shared very widely, and often is.
Steve Wood's team tracked the rapid construction of emergency hospitals in Wuhan, China, that just last August looked like this.
But largely an empty parking lot.
But by January, it was completely transformed.
Well, this is like multiple convention centers. That's how big it is.
That's right. 1,600 beds reportedly, but multiple other support buildings, and all done within a space of about 2 weeks.
The Department of Homeland Security later concluded the Chinese government intentionally concealed the severity of COVID-19 in early January while it stockpiled medical supplies.
From an intelligence perspective, this image tells you that the Chinese government understood that they had a real crisis on their hands.
I believe that's right.
As COVID-19 spread to the Middle East, Iran's government seemed to minimize the pandemic. But from the sky, massive new graves were detected in the city of Qom.
How did you take social media and then marry it up with the satellite images?
We had videos that were beginning to surface that showed people that were walking to a cemetery that were showing large trenches that had been prepared in case of the growing pandemic.
These white piles of debris provided another clue.
That was most likely lime to help prevent against the spread of infection. A photo doesn't lie. It's just the facts.
With global protests unfolding, as the U.S. and other nations reopen, there are new COVID hotspots. Now satellite imagery could help show the way forward.
It really gives us a sense to know if countries are really recovering the way that they're portraying themselves to be recovering.
It's that fact check.
That fact check, exactly.
And satellite imagery can help develop better ways to social distance if there's a second wave of COVID or an entirely new virus. Catherine here, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Now let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. One of 4 officers charged in the death of George Floyd posted bail. Thomas Lane was released from jail on Wednesday. Lane is charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and manslaughter. His attorney says he was a rookie and would never go against superior's orders. In this case, his superior was Derek Chauvin. Gray says the only role that he played in Floyd's case is holding his feet so he wouldn't kick. Now, according to CBS Minnesota, Lane was hired as a police cadet back in February 2019 and then promoted to officer in December. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants Confederate statues in the U.S. Capitol removed. Pelosi telling the U.S. House Senate Committee she feels statues, quote, pay homage to hate, not heritage. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi does not have the power to order the removal of statues. That decision is up to states represented by statues in the Capitol. And get ready to make a splash. Some Winston-Salem pools are reopening. Bolton, Kimberly Park, Polo, and Parkland pools are scheduled to reopen July 1st. And splash pads at Hathaway, Little Creek, Nelson Malloy, Reynolds, Rupert Bell, and Sedge Garden Parks opening as well. Now, social distancing will be enforced at all of those places. Over 1 million people filed for unemployment last week, but the number is lower than weekly claims filed just 2 weeks ago. This marks the 10th straight week in decline. The total number of people laid off is in decline, which is a positive sign as states reopen businesses like restaurants. Last week, over 2 million jobs were added to the economy in May.
Well, we're taking a look at our forecast as we see some pretty comfortable overnight lows tonight in the mid-60s. The bigger story right now is the chance of thunderstorms, which we have across the area, but it's not as widespread as it could be. That front is getting ready to move through and clear all of this out for us. Look at tomorrow. We go to midday, sunshine 80, and then afternoon highs at 84. Notice no rain tomorrow. The dry air behind that frontal boundary is why. Here's what we see now with the latest imagery with radar, and there are some lightning strikes embedded in some of these thunderstorm cells, so just be advised that you could see that. Lexington, you're probably, and really central Davidson County, you're going to see some of those thunderstorms in the next 20 minutes, if not earlier. We're already seeing it over Greensboro and the southern half of Guilford County. All of this is drifting to the east. You can see it is part of that cold front that basically will clear the area overnight tonight. So sunny and 84 tomorrow, low 80s for your weekend. Sunday evening, a better rain chance than Saturday evening. Decent rain chance Monday, Tuesday afternoon and evening as well, but cooler and highs in the upper 70s by then.
Eden Drive-In announced a special event coming this summer. Garth Brooks will be performing for one night only in a concert event at 300 drive-in theater locations across the nation, including right here in Eden. That concert is June 27th and is expected to be the largest one-night show to play at an outdoor theater across the U.S. and Canada. Tickets will go on sale next Friday, June 19th at noon. They cost you a lot, though. It'll be $100 per one car or truck. This event will happen rain or shine.
Well, just a few moments ago, you guys were talking about unemployment numbers. And so there are 3 different kinds of unemployment benefits, and I want you to come take a look at them. All right, first and foremost, you have the state unemployment benefits. That was 12 weeks. Then you have the federal pandemic emergency unemployment. That was 13 weeks and $600 a week. And then very last, you have the federal benefits for those who are self-employed. But what I really want you to notice is that the benefits have been extended through December the 26th. That's right, another 13 weeks, bringing the $600 a week benefit all the way through December's time. And while that is really helpful for many, a lot of folks will be trying to find a job at the very same time. And of course, you know what that means? That means resumes, and it means cover letters.
And that means stress,
Yeah.
knowing how to grab an employer's attention.
Right, it does, which is why we go to the experts to listen to what is being said about cover letters. Take a listen to this.
Everybody says, where's that magic list of keywords? They don't exist. If your viewers want to make sure that they're using 100% of the right keywords 100% of the time in their letter after their introductory paragraph. They need to insert 2 columns.
All right, so here's the 2 columns, okay? Here's the trick. Before you write the cover letter, you're going to read the job description, and you're going to put the key words that they use in the job description on the left. And on the right, you're going to use your job experience with those words. Now, what you do is you weave them into the letter. Those keywords are, well, very key. You get it? Okay. Hey, got questions about workplace or family issues, landlord problems? We have answers. Text 336-379-5775. Lawyers will be answering your questions starting at 5:30. Again, workplace issues, family law, child custody, landlord, and eviction.
I am in the bathroom, so if it sounds a little strange, that is what's up.
Welcome back to the 4 to 5 show. HBO Max is taking Gone with the Wind off their streaming service temporarily. The company in charge of HBO Max says the movie has been taken down because it depicts racial and ethnic prejudices. The decision to remove this classic film is upsetting many, so let's connect the dots.
It's the highest grossing movie of all time. So why is HBO pulling Gone with the Wind from its streaming service? Let's connect the dots. Released in 1939, the epic Civil War film is often considered a classic of American cinema. It tells the love story of a Southern belle who eventually falls in love with a charming but complicated man. The movie is based on an incredibly popular book published in the 30s, and both portray black characters as slaves and former slaves who seem to have no problem with their roles in society. And those problematic portrayals are what is, once again, getting attention in light of the anti-racism protests going on across the country, But this isn't a new controversy. The movie actually sparked protests when it was released. The NAACP objected to the film's treatment of black characters, and demonstrators in several cities marched outside theaters showing the film. In the past, people who have defended Gone with the Wind have pointed out that Hattie McDaniel, the actress who played Mammy, won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her role, making her the first black person to win the award. But McDaniel was not allowed to sit with her co-stars at the Oscar ceremony. She was relegated to a table in the back of the room. And when the movie premiered in Atlanta, she was barred from attending due to segregation laws.
Now, other popular shows being removed from air include A&E's Live PD and Paramount Network's Cops, which has been on the air for 32 seasons.
Well, we're looking at temperatures outside right now in the mid 80s. Now, some of you, especially if you're in Alamance County, you've had some rain, so you're more likely to be in the upper 70s right now. Planning forecast heading into the night tonight, you'll see a 66-degree overnight low. That'll be tomorrow morning early. Sunshine all day, drier. It is a beautiful Friday, and really a weekend altogether is perfect. We do have some increased rain chances once we get to the beginning of next week. Here's what the radar is showing now. Most of the heavier thunderstorm activity is right in the heart of Guilford County, northern Davidson County. Greensboro, you'll see those showers for a while, and it looks like they'll be moving on to the east as we head into the night, and we'll clear out. Tomorrow, sunny, drier, 84. Sunny on Saturday, mainly dry, too, and 83. Rain chances back in the afternoon and evening variety. That's Sunday, really all the way through Wednesday of next week, but that's normal summertime pattern. A little bit more rain coverage on Monday and Tuesday. Highs will drop to the upper 70s and then back up to the lower 80s for Wednesday and Thursday. All right, let's talk about this story. Now, you know, helping the elderly with health care is something we all support, right? It's very important, not only to the elderly themselves, but their families as well. It takes a big burden off them. No organization does this better than PACE of the Triad. They even did it through the pandemic, never stopped. I spoke to the director today about what they do and how they do it.
Ursula, I appreciate you being with us today. Let's talk a little bit about what is PACE for people that aren't familiar, and what do you guys do?
It's an acronym that stands for Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. And so our program is a health and human service organization that serves frail older adults who live in the community and qualify medically to live in a nursing home. So we're talking some pretty fragile folks. And what we do is we wrap comprehensive services around them. And our vans are transporting people either to us to see their doctor or to get therapy, or they may be transporting them to dialysis or to see other medical providers. But we do provide the medical transportation for the folks who participate in our program, which we call participants.
So when you talk about the heart of the organization, it's really those workers, isn't it? What type of comments do you get from the patients and their families about what those workers do every day?
We would not be a PACE program if it were not for our employees. I hear comments every day from family members. Thank you for all that you do for us. You feel like family. The latest one I received was from a daughter who said, throughout this pandemic, I've never felt alone. They are, in fact, truly our heroes. Very few of them have been at home throughout this pandemic. Most of them have continued to provide services to older adults. So we wanted to pause for a minute and acknowledge that.
Well, yeah, and that pretty much sums it up. Respect for the elderly is very important, and you guys are doing that. Thank you for joining us today, Ursula. Good luck.
They're a great organization. By the way, tomorrow they're doing that employee appreciation luncheon they talked about, where they'll let the employees drive through and get lunch, social distancing and that type of thing, no contact. They deserve all the credit they get for what they do for our senior citizens.
Yeah, and with, you know, our senior citizens being some of the most vulnerable people right now during this pandemic, it's so important that they have services like this and people that are supporting them and loving them and just, you know, doting on them during this time. I love to see stories like this.
Yeah, sometimes it's really just about being a friend to the elderly as much as it is the healthcare side of things. They, you know, they get lonely. They need that human interaction, and these guys are doing it.
Yeah. Well, great job by everyone at PACE for doing that.
Coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, a judge orders a speedway to close after Governor Roy Cooper declared it an imminent hazard. What was said in the courtroom today and reaction from the owners of a speedway about the decision. That's coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5.
Well, we all want to honor our seniors this year since their graduations have been so greatly affected by the pandemic and really all their celebrations too. So that's why we do our senior shout outs. And here are some of the graduates that we're featuring today. This is Tyler Young, a senior at New Garden Friends School. He is a community volunteer and has been for 4 years as a camp counselor in training and kids love him there. He helps with New Garden Friends Summer Camp, Backpack Beginnings as well. And he's going to Western Carolina University in August. And this is Kenley Mitchell, a senior at Magna Vista High School, going to Virginia Commonwealth University in the fall. She is a member of art, poetry, and Spanish clubs. Her family says words cannot describe how incredibly proud we are of you and can't wait to see what the next chapter unfolds for you. And then Ross is a senior at Grimsley High School. He played basketball all 4 years of school and was also the captain of the basketball team. He's also president of the Mathletes Club and has been for 2 years in the National Honor Society and member of the French National Honor Society and was a junior marshal. Some big achievements there. He will be going to Georgia Tech in the fall to study civil engineering. Well, congrats to all these seniors. And if you want to share a senior shout out with us, you can find this submission form on our website, WFMYnews2.com. All you have to do is submit your photos of your senior, but please no professional ones. Then include their name and their school. You can also include a personal message with your shout out. We'll be back with more of 4 to 5, including your 2 cents, right after this break. With myself. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Callie.
Oh gosh.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a mic check for you guys. I got some thunderstorms in Guilford County. 1, 2.
Hey, mic check. I am not wearing any makeup, so Kyle's gonna directly pan to this Confederate monument really quickly. 1, 2, 3.
So today I wanted to talk about music. It's one of my favorite topics, and during COVID-19, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, we have been concert deprived. Not only on a national scale, I do miss all the concerts that I was going to see that now will be delayed or postponed or reorganized, but even on a local scale, even with local musicians, my band, all of our gigs have been canceled until mid-July, and we're just waiting to find out about that. We want to get the music back in our lives. So I did some research, looked online, and several national publications, USA Today and some other newspapers and online outlets are saying that concerts are going to look different. I don't know if you saw this, but Keith Urban did a surprise drive-in concert at a drive-in theater outside of Nashville, Tennessee for about 200 healthcare workers, kind of a private concert. But the look of that was pretty cool. Even the Eden Drive-In is going to be broadcasting, he won't be there in person, but Garth Brooks has announced that he'll be doing drive-in concerts, and they'll show this at drive-ins. At least that way we can social distance inside cars while we watch a concert. The bottom line is, for me and for music lovers all over the world, music is the universal language. It is a healer for a lot of folks. Now more than ever, we need to get our music back. We need to get our concerts back. And if that comes with face masks and hand sanitizing and staying apart, fewer numbers of people in big arenas, so be it. I'll do whatever it takes to get the music back in our lives and let us all heal a little bit from what we've been through. But that's just my 2 cents. And that's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
We begin with breaking news in Guilford County. Both the Greensboro and High Point courthouses are now closed after several employees tested positive for the coronavirus.
The public will not be allowed in the courthouses and employees are instructed to stay home. The health department is notifying anyone who came in close contact with infected employees. Those people will then have to be quarantined and tested. The courthouses are expected to reopen June 22nd.
Another top story today, a speedway in Alamance County is being shut down temporarily.
A judge sided with the state and granted a temporary restraining order against a speedway. Earlier this week, Governor Roy Cooper ordered the track to close, declaring it an imminent hazard to spread coronavirus. The governor ordered the closure after hundreds of fans showed up for the first 3 races of the season. Under phase 2 of reopening, mass gatherings can't have more than 25 people. Alamance County Sheriff Terry Johnson chose not to enforce phase 2 restrictions. Yesterday, the State Health Department and Human Services Department filed the motion for a temporary restraining order to close the track.
A Superior Court judge granted that restraining order today, saying, quote, all the accompanying documents make it very clear that there is an imminent health hazard in our state and in our county. Lawyers for a speedway said they were disappointed with the ruling. During the hearing today, they argued that the state is selectively enforcing policies, didn't give proper legal notice, and claimed that there are no confirmed cases of COVID-19 from a speedway.
My clients have been trying to keep everyone safe. They met with public health officials and have been doing everything they've been told to do.
The owners of a speedway posted on Facebook saying they have canceled all events and practices through June 19th. They also thanked workers, sponsors, and race teams who have supported the speedway. The owners wrote, "Continue to stick with us. This does not mean 2020 is over, just on hold." The ruling stands until next Friday, then there will be another hearing.
Representative Mark Walker responding to the ruling. He says, quote, instead of providing solutions for the million North Carolinians out of work and a hurting state economy, Governor Cooper, in targeting local A Speedway, has shut down yet another business, reminding our state that his authoritative grip knows no bounds. Governor Roy Cooper has weighed in on a speedway in the past, saying, quote, this specific speedway knows that the order is in existence and frequently violated the order and put their customers in danger and anyone that has come into contact with those customers.
Many of you are commenting about the decision about a speedway on our Facebook page. Mark says, well, they better stop all these people going around protesting peacefully and everything. Lee says, well, we can't go to outdoor concerts. Even NASCAR can't have fans. Josh says government should never have this much control over private business or freedom of assembly/association. April says, good, this is a public health emergency, not a political issue.
Well, I'll tell you what, right now across the area, we're tracking rain and thunderstorms. And right now, the hotspot county is Guilford. Let's take a look. You're looking at Skycam over downtown Greensboro right now. Most of the heavy rain in Guilford is north of downtown. That's what we are looking at. So let's zoom in a little bit. There are some scattered storms also in Davidson County. Right off the bat, none of these storms are severe, meaning there aren't high winds expected in any of these, but we have a lot of lightning that's coming down, especially near McLeansville and parts of eastern Guilford County. Zooming in further, this is right along the new urban loop, also along Wendover, East Wendover, and 70 as you go closer to Sedalia. But McLeansville itself, that's where several lightning strikes are happening right now. Back to Greensboro we go, right along Cone Boulevard, Elm Street, very heavy rain by Moses Cone Hospital, and also as you go farther out toward Friendly Center, a lot of that heavy rain. These aren't moving quickly, they're moving slowly. So right around the evening rush, very likely to be some ponding of water on these roadways because of those downpours. It is moving toward Alamance County next. Farther south, you look at some downpours very similar In Lexington and Davidson County, those two are moving to the east-northeast. We'll keep this around for the next couple of hours. I think the radar will stay a little busy through 7 and 8 o'clock, but after that, things are quieting down, and in fact, that's when the dramatic change starts to arrive. You don't see much difference on the temperature map, but the humidity is starting to lower out to the west. Take a look at the dew points. Super muggy here locally in the Triad, but in the mountains, they've gotten that dry air. The foothills starting to get a taste of it as well. We will get that tomorrow. So you got to wait a little longer, but tomorrow is a partly sunny day. No threat for rain and lower humidity. It will feel a lot better than it does right now. I'm calling for a high just of 84 for your Friday. With that low humidity, coming up, we'll talk about the weekend. How long does the comfort stay around, and when does the rain start to return?
The Republican National Committee has decided not to vote for a proposal that would keep August convention in Charlotte. President Donald Trump announced his intentions to move the RNC after Governor Roy Cooper raised concerns over coronavirus. Organizers say they have chosen Jacksonville, Florida as the top site for President Trump to accept his party's nomination. While the president will not speak in Charlotte, organizers insist some of their business activities will continue to be held in there.
Coronavirus hospitalizations in our state hit a new record high for the 4th straight day. So let's break down the numbers for you. There are more than 1,300 new COVID cases. They bring the total to more than 39,000, including nearly 24,000 recoveries. Since yesterday's update, 11 more people have died. 812 people are in North Carolina hospitals.